Good afternoon, and welcome to another edition of the Henry Day Jr. Sports Wrap Show. I'm Henry Day Jr., and today is Tuesday, December 23rd, 2025, 2 days away from 24 hours until Christmas Eve. And I wanted to get started on the show. Wanted to talk to you guys about the DK Metcalf situation. I know everybody have watched the game on Sunday between Detroit and Pittsburgh, and what happened on TV Sunday when I watched the game, when the CBS broadcast brought up that video of Metcalf getting at it with a Detroit Lions fan. I'm not going to say the fan's name. I know who the fan name is, but I'm not going to say on the live TV, on the live video episode on YouTube. I'm going to keep it like it is. He just struck a Lions player who had the Pittsburgh Steelers jersey, DK Metcalf number 4 jersey on him, wanted to sign an autograph with him. He had to come from the bench to get into an altercation with that fan wearing the blue hair. And for Metcalf to make contact with that Lions fan, that struck a nerve that no Pittsburgh personnel was over there, no officiating, no member of the officiating crew was there, and no security for field wasn't there, or Steelers personnel to stop that altercation. None of those was there because it was off the field because he was not on the field at the time. The NFL did suspend DK Metcalf of the last 2 regular season games for conduct detrimental to the NFL, conduct detrimental to the league, not to the team, to the league, for making contact with that Lions fan on Sunday afternoon. I got the rules for that topic that we're going to talk about. The NFL rules strictly prohibits players from entering the stands or physically confronting fans, with severe punishments and penalties like suspensions and fines for violation, while fans must adhere to code of conduct, no field entry, objects, fighting, or offensive behavior, or face ejection. All aimed at safety, sportsmanship, maintain game integrity. Players can safely give game balls to fans by hitting them over, but randomly throwing them is a finable offense, and all interactions must avoid endangering participants or disrupting the game. No confrontations. Players cannot enter in the stands or confront fans. Doing so leads to accountability. So that's what the NFL did just yesterday. Instead of suspending Metcalf for 1 game, we're going to slap you with a 2-game suspension. So he probably won't be able to play the Browns or the Ravens Sunday and next Sunday to end the regular season. He will be appealed the suspension today. I'd be surprised throughout this live broadcast of the Wrap-Up Show. I will be surprised if I got a notification saying that his appeal has been upheld and he will miss those last 2 games of the season. If those being upheld, he will be missing and lose $555,000 worth of game checks for those last 2 regular season games. And like I said, I will be surprised if I got a notification say that his appeal will be upheld in the next few minutes or so throughout this broadcast. So I'll get back with everybody on that throughout the show before I end the show and give everybody an update before then. So we'll move on from that, and we're talking about week 16. It was a hell of a week 16. We got a lot of game-winning drives from the Seahawks and the Bears. The Seattle Seahawks knocked out the Rams 38-37 in overtime to claim the number 1 seed and first place in the NFC West, while the Chicago Bears won 22-16 over Green Bay to retain first place in the 2 seed in the NFC. Other Week 16 action. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers lost to the Carolina Panthers 23-20. in a game that has first place in the NFC South on the line. The Baltimore Ravens had 11-point lead versus the New England Patriots on Sunday Night Football. They lost that game 28-24. Now their play opportunities is going to go down here now that Lamar Jackson got a serious back contusion, and hopefully he could be back on Saturday night versus the Green Bay Packers. Other results: the Buffalo Bills hold up against the Cleveland Browns 23-20. As Myles Garrett got a half sack in that game, so he's about one sack away from breaking the record of the most sacks in the season. He has 22 sacks, and Myles Garrett needs one sack to break the record. The record that had been held from Michael Strahan to T.J. Watt. So hopefully he can break it this Sunday versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. Speaking of the Steelers, going back to the Lions-Steelers game for a moment, they won 29-24. Here's the caveat on all of this. That officiating crew has drew that flag in the two OPI situations that's involving the Lions, to where that they had touchdowns negated because of those OPIs. They didn't have replay to stand the one drive that the Lions could have had back or could have had to win the game. The Lions season's now starting to go unravel now that they lost that game 8-7 of the season. Now they 29-24 loss to the Steelers. The Steelers won that game. Jalen Warren went off 2 rushing touchdowns on Sunday. Steelers are 9-6. They're about a win or a Raymond loss away from claiming the AFC North Division Championship. But if I was the Steelers, I would have not be worried about what happened with DK Metcalf. This is a possibility that Metcalf will not be back until the playoffs and the wild card weekend. That would be a stunning turn of events if his appeal has been upheld. I would be surprised if he missed only one game. If he wins his appeal, he may be missing that Browns game, but be back for the Ravens game. But we'll see. He could miss those games. We'll find out when I get a notification about the appeal for DK Metcalf. Back to week 16 action. I mentioned about the Bills being Cleveland. I mentioned about Myles Garrett, who's going to have a chance to make history on Sunday. This is their final regular season home game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Jacksonville Jaguars coming to Denver, 34-20 winners. They 6 straight victory, and now they're on the precipice of potentially going up to the number 1 seed in the conference. They got the tiebreakers over Denver and over LA for those wins, and all of them are finished the same record for the number 1 seed. The Houston Texans hold up against the Raiders 23-21, 7 consecutive wins. Their winning streak and the Jacksonville Jaguars winning streak are the 2 longest winning streaks in the league. The Broncos winning streak was the longest until Jacksonville had their first loss in a while. And now the number 1 seed could be taking shape because you have 5 teams got a chance to be the number 1 seed. The Broncos, the Patriots, the Chargers, the Bills, and the Broncos, the Chargers, the Bills, the Patriots, and the Jags. Houston still got a chance to make that an entertainment scenario that they went out and maybe get everybody to go 5 losses. Then Houston makes the most sense to get the number 1 seed. I mentioned about Pittsburgh in the AFC North title. Baltimore, if they can somehow win Saturday and Pittsburgh lose to Cleveland Sunday, next week's game against each other could be for the division title in the 4th seed. That could make very sense. Indianapolis playoff chances is slim to none. They lost to the 49ers last night, 48-27. It is not all Phillip Rivers' fault because of that pick 6. It's not on his fault. The running game's not the same since week 10. Since the week 10 win against, since they beat Atlanta, Jonathan Taylor's not that hot like he has the first half of the year. look, it doesn't really matter. The Indianapolis Colts cannot get the offense going, all right? We're not talking about Jonathan Taylor. We're talking about the tight ends, the wide receivers, and we know what's going on. We don't know what Shane Stock going to do for that Jacksonville game and that Texan game. I'll be surprised if Indy went out and Houston lose out and Indy make the playoffs. I'd be surprised if that happened, but I don't think they will not make it. They had this start the year 8-2, and for me, they don't know why they didn't not stop that losing streak since Danny Jones left because of that Achilles injury. He's not coming back for the rest of the season. I understand what Phillip Rivers is doing to try to save the Colts. You can't save them all because if you don't got a best running game like you had the first half of the year, why now? It's not happening. All I'm saying is the Colts better figure it out, or they have to do it not making the playoffs. So it's Baltimore as well. Take lightly. So the NFC playoff picture. I give a lot of credit to Seattle for when I watched the game on Thursday. They were down 30-14, right? And the Rams had a chance to close the game out, hold up the number 1 seed, and they got a path to win it on Monday night if things go the way they're going to be for the Rams Saturday, Sunday. But when Seattle came back and won that game, that stands for flipped right there. They came back and went in overtime, and now they are the number 1 seed now with a chance to clinch home field and the division title on Sunday and Monday. The huge game is in Carolina between the Seahawks and Panthers Sunday. Both division titles is at stake for Seattle. The West titles at stake for Carolina, the South title. Carolina came out a win against Tampa Bay on Sunday. So that game is going on. The Miami Tampa Bay game is going on down in South Beach. Tampa Bay just need a win and Carolina lost to make Week 18 much interested for the South title. So we can put that to rest for the NFC South. Now I'm talking about 5 teams potentially be the 1 seed in the playoffs in the NFC. Seattle, the Rams, the 49ers, Chicago, and Philadelphia. Those 5 teams that got a shot at the number 1 seed. Philadelphia became the first team to clinch their division. Won the NFC East last Saturday against Washington. Now they're going to go out to Buffalo to take on Josh Allen and the Bills, who's still fighting for the AFC East. The Patriots take on the Jets. They win to clinch the AFC East. They still got a chance at the 1 seed. We'll see how a lot of days going to go by this weekend that they had a shot to do. So injury update for Josh Allen and the Bills. He was limping a little bit after he got sacked in the first half of Sunday's game. Now that he's optimistic that he will be playing this Sunday, and Josh Allen's a monster right now. I can tell you what the Bills did. And James Cook, another successful game against Cleveland's defense. I get the 1 carry. Shador and the Browns hang around a little bit throughout the game. You down 10, you down 13, you were down 10 for most of the game. You lost by 3. You could have had some opportunities to win the game. But I give credit to what credit is due for Buffalo. I thought they did a great job, and they did a great job. So for the Bills to make sure that they get the chance now to go even with the Patriots Sunday, with a chance to win the division next weekend. For me, for Buffalo, this is the year to win it all, or it will be another wait and watch next year. The Chargers are 11-4, second year on the Jim Harbaugh. They are in the playoffs, but now this is a good chance they could possibly be the 1 seed in the AFC. Things got to go right for them, starting out this weekend at home against Houston. We got a win in the end scenario for the Texans. They win, they end the playoffs, and that game is huge for the Chargers and the Texans. The Chargers already in the playoffs. The Texans, when they will essentially eliminate Indianapolis from contention before Sunday's game at home against Jacksonville. So if Houston does win Saturday, if Indianapolis does beat Jacksonville, we get into a situation that the AFC South title will be at stake next Sunday for Jacksonville and Houston. They already split the two games this season. Jacksonville won by 7 at their home field, and then Houston turned the cheek, came back and beat the Jacksonville Jaguars with Davis Mills had to finish the game for CJ Stroud. So there's a lot at stake for both conferences, and I will get back to that during the pregame show on Thursday. Well, I will move it to Friday because it'll be Christmas on Thursday. So I will be moving to Friday on YouTube. So I'll get back to that Friday. So let's get to college football playoffs and what happened in the first round Friday. Alabama, who was down 17 against Oklahoma, came back to beat them by 10. And then it was a low-score game in the Hurricanes-Aggies game that Miami scored the first touchdown and eventually won it for Miami to move on. While Ole Miss and Oregon, 5 and 6 seeds, blowing out the two group of 5 teams on Saturday to move into the quarterfinals. So next week's CFP quarterfinals is simple. Ohio State will take on Miami in the Cotton Bowl. You got Indiana and Alabama in the Rose Bowl, the Sugar Bowl, Ole Miss, Georgia, and the Orange Bowl, Texas Tech, and Oregon. And the winners go on to the semifinals in Atlanta and Glendale and the Fiesta Bowl and the Peach Bowl before January 19 in Miami for the national championship game. So I'll get back to more about college football when we get to that point, when we get to that week. And that's next Wednesday and next Thursday. A little bit of NBA action here. We all finished up the NBA Cup. Congratulations to the New York Knicks who knocked out the San Antonio Spurs in Vegas. The trade deadline comes on February. Still a question that everybody's asking: where is Giannis going to get traded to? He had not formally requested a trade yet to anybody yet. He had not requested a trade from Giannis to the Bucks coaches to the Bucks front office yet. I'd be surprised that happens. But at the end of the day, I'm looking around all the rumors about whose name is on what radar. I heard Klay Thompson's name. I heard Michael Porter Jr.'s name just today. I heard a lot of names that are floating around who's going to get traded. We don't know yet. And until I know who's going to get traded and until I know who's going to get traded and until I know if Giannis is going to get traded, we don't know just yet. So I'm still going to be floating around the rumor mill and until the trade deadline comes in February. And last but not least, college basketball. March Madness is going to be back in Indianapolis for the second time in 4 years. We know what happened during COVID. We had the tournament in Indianapolis. They had to go around Indianapolis, Bloomington, Indiana as well because of COVID restrictions, limited fans coming in to watch the games in Indy, including the Final Four. UCLA, Gonzaga, Houston, Baylor in the national championship game. Baylor versus Houston, won by the Bells. No, and what I know it's Baylor versus Gonzaga. I think it was Baylor versus Gonzaga in the national title game. I can look it up. Yeah, it was Baylor Gonzaga, but Baylor and Gonzaga's undefeated streak to win the national championship in 2021 in Indianapolis. This is gonna be a fun Final Four. Now that we're gonna have everybody at the stands with those destinations for the first four in Dayton all the way to the national title game in Indianapolis in April. I'm not going to reveal who's to be in my Final Four yet until I will be revealing in my future episodes on Wrap Up Show, but also on various platforms that I may be announcing who's my Final Four coming to the tournament. So I want you guys to hold off and you will see what I'm going to be talking about before April's Final Four. I'll be back Friday to recap the Christmas Day games on my YouTube channel. Like, subscribe to Henry Day Jr. 15 HD to subscribe and click the like button and click the alerts button for notifications for me to be on live on YouTube. I'll be back Friday. Thanks for watching.